A person who examines any corner of the universe, from the giant galaxies in space to the living beings in nature, and from his own body to invisible cells, sees a flawless plan incorporating order. Every aspect overflows with a precise and explicit fact, the fact of creation. The world we live in flourishes with life, equipped with a flawless living beings, from animals to plants, and from fish to insects, that have no intelligence or mind, and sometimes even no brains. And successful acts. Most of these behaviors, man, with all his wisdom and knowledge, deal with them, let alone succeed. In and the earth, there are signs for people who reproduction and hunting systems of insects, which are one of these types of animals. Wise, almighty. The wonderful designs in insects are of God and his flawless creation. Every person who contemplates with a clear and mind this obvious fact. The greatness of the number of insects is quite amazing. For human 200 million, which is a million insects in a square. 30 million insects, many of which have not been named yet. On which an enormous amount of research has been done. The trait that renders this insect so popular is that it owns a highly complex chemical weapon in its body, measuring about 2 centimeters in length. When threatened by another bug, a boiling hot is formed in its body. Then the enemy out of an appetite, driving away its enemies with this, is not even aware of what a miraculous job it does. This chemical weapon is the outcome of extremely complex chain reactions that occur within the body of the insect. Specialized structures called secretory lobes make a very concentrated mixture of 2. The mixture is sent into a storage chamber called the collecting vesicle, called the explosion chamber. When the beetle feels the chamber suddenly contracts. Chamber from the explosion chamber opens. This forces the chemical solution to enter the explosion chamber. Immediately after that, the chemical solution mixes with enzyme catalysts secreted by ectodermal glands. These reactions release a large quantity of heat, and the temperature of the solution rises to boiling point. From the beetle's body, allow the steam, and the beetle scalds its boiling hot solution it produces on it with pressure. This chemical weapon effective enough for the insect, because the part of the insect's body where this chemical is produced is lined with a heat-resistant material. A marvelous system, which is by many scientists at once and fully. A single piece missing, and the bug would disappear from the Earth. Every step of the defense of the bug, control of the mind. The bombardier beetle, just like billions of other living beings, is an example of the might and matchless creation, all-knowing, mighty. God states in the Quran, in your and all the creatures He has spread about, there are signs for people with certainty. Designed systems of enormous the bodies of millions of insects, which we even do not know yet. The vast and design shows us the infinite power of our Creator. Is this bug? Though smaller than a ladybug, it has big feet in proportion to its size. The defense mechanism of the insect depends on the feet and its shell. When threatened by an enemy, the bug in and clutches the ground of the shell, the antenna and feet. Due to its structure, it is impossible to turn the bug upside down. The purpose of the ant is to reach the soft shell to debilitate it. Turn the bug upside down because of its defense system. Despite the fact that its size is bigger, it up the effort in less than a minute. The superb design of the bug is viewed. Its feet are seen to have 60,000 hairs. When viewed under the electron microscope, these hairs are observed to divide into two and have a soft at their tips. At a close traces made up of thousands of droplets. This oil that is produced in the glands at the roots of the hairs leaks into the to the tip of the hairs where the reason why this bug cannot be turned upside down by its enemies is because these attach themselves to the ground like a sucker. In this bug, from the shape of its shell to the design of the hairs to the cavities where they leak. The flawlessness and the order in the creation of this beetle make it impossible by coincidence, as the theory of evolution claims. No coincidence can bring such. No man with wisdom and conscience would accept that coincidence is such a design. Is the manifestation of the exalted wisdom of the one who creates them, God, the creator of everything. God's creation is mentioned as follows. He is the creator, the maker, the giver. To him everything in the heavens and earth glorifies him, Almighty, the all-wise. Firefly is equipped with an amazing system. This insect has an organ in its body that produces fluorescent light. This light has great significance for the firefly to preserve its race, because the female and male fireflies recognize each other by looking at their lights. The fluorescent organ of the firefly is composed of 3 layers, just like cells that produce light lie at the bottom layer. The duty of these cells is to produce a reacts with oxygen. Of this chemical reaction, the fluorescent fashion to a factory is first transferred to the adjacent concave layer and then to the upper, reflected as light. Of this fluorescent light, astonished scientists examining fireflies. The light bulbs used for lighting purposes 95% being lost in the form which is released. We cannot touch a light bulb when it is on. The temperature does not rise due to the cold nature of its light. Man can produce cold light only in laboratories at the end of a series of chemical reactions. It is obviously irrational to claim that this complex lighting system has been designed and then installed in the body of this tiny insect by itself. More irrational than this is the claim of the theory of evolution that this system formed as a result of coincidences in nature. The perfection in the of a superior wisdom and infinite knowledge. God created all living shows us his eternal might. In a verse of the his signs is the creation of the heavens, and he has the power to gather them together whenever he will. In addition, plants that hunt by using amazing is the Venus flytrap. Something of which it is totally unaware. Scent secreted by the glands surrounding the leaves and lands on the plant without much hesitation. While moving towards the food, it inevitably touches the seemingly harmless hairs on the surface of the plant. Upon feeling the fly's touch, the plant suddenly snaps its leaves shut. Locked up between the leaves, the fly causes the leaves to be clasped even tighter, touching the hairs again and again as it flutters. The plant then starts to secrete a flesh-dissolving liquid. In a short time, it turns its prey into the fly by digesting it. The speed of the plant in closing its is most of the time on his palm. He does it. How then can this plant move? There exists an extremely detailed electrical system inside the Venus flytrap. The mechanical effect caused by the strokes of the fly is transmitted to the receptors lying under the hairs of the plant. The electrical are carried to the motor cells that cause and finally the mechanism is activated motor cells receive electrical stimulation, they change inside the trap, release water from their bodies and shrink. This event is similar to deflating a trap. On the other hand, take in excess water occurs in such a swift fashion at an enormous speed. Meanwhile, these glands start to secrete a solution to dissolve the fly slowly. Although strong enough to dissolve proteins, this chemical thus, the plant feeds by protein. At the end of digestion, the mechanism that makes the trap close works conversely to open it. In order to activate the trap twice in succession, due to this dual action, never close, not become activated. The most important point is that this skillful hunter is devoid of a brain or a similar structure, and therefore the ability to think. Certainly, the plant is not aware of its superb features, which allow to point to a system of knowledge and detail of it. Such a design cannot be explained with coincidences or natural phenomena. It is obvious that a superior creator ruling the entire nature with such a creation of God in the Quran. God provides for them, and He will for you. He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. The South African sundew plant, in barren land, and even created with serious skill, which enables the plant to get the nutrients from the soil in a different manner. The leaves of the plant are covered with hairs. These hairs are coated with an extremely viscous liquid. As a special attracts insects. An insect heading becomes stuck in these viscous. The strongest insect struggles to escape. Better grip the insect. As soon as the plant closes down on it, it digests slowly essential proteins for itself. After of the insect, the sundew plant opens its tendrils to set up another trap. The strong adhesive which of the plant at all. Certainly, the fact that a plant unable to move from its place explicit evidence for special creation. Wisdom can by no means be explained with coincidence. Would think that the plant invented the existence and the superior wisdom of the Creator who gave these properties to the plant is obvious. All plants feed created specially by God. This fact is stated in the Quran as on the earth, which is not dependent upon God for its. He knows where it dies. They are all in a clear book. at this scene very carefully. Can you see anything other than a tree bark, a wild or At a closer look, the view is astounding. These are some of the living perfect camouflage. Animals living on Earth are equipped with amazing camouflage is one of these systems that help animals to their enemies or to hunt. These animals shades of colour and even the sandy ocean floor as a shield to be protected from their enemies, and some adapt to the colour. It is apparent that camouflage design the living beings bereft bring about their accordingly. God, the Lord of the heavens, the earth, and everything in between, created these creatures with these. Among his signs is the creation of the heavens and earth, and all the creatures he has spread about in them. One of these animals is the caterpillar that imitates the branch of a tree it rests on in order to protect itself from predator birds. The praying mantis, which lives in hides itself, mimicking a of an orchid. It is so much so that they look for nectar on the body of their predators. The chameleons may take on the pattern of their surroundings because of their change. Some snakes hide under the sand to watch out for their prey. Under the sea, many creatures are camouflaged due to their rocks. One of these are standing still among the leaves. In the world of insects, there are many species that the colours on the bee camouflaged among the flowers. Camouflage is one of the biggest stumbling blocks of the theory of evolution, which attributes life to natural phenomena. It is no doubt quite designs are the product of coincidences. For instance, the leaf pattern on the wings of a butterfly to the leaf cannot be explained by coincidence. Needless to say, these creatures, which do not even could not and patterns around them and copied them onto themselves. Certainly, the perfection in these designs reveals the existence of a superior designer to their habitat. The similarity between the pattern of an insect to the is an indication and the insect by the same Creator. He is God, the Maker, the Giver of form. To Him belong the most. Every and earth glorifies Him. He is the Almighty, the created all living beings on earth to the makeup of their and in your creatures He has spread about. There are signs for people with certainty. We encounter such astounding traits in nature that even man cannot help admiring. Animals are saved from being a prey, being dead. Unlike scavengers, most prefer live. This insect saves its ability to mimic. Seem bigger. The false eyes on the fruit fly's head protect it from predators. When the fly meets a spider, the pattern of another spider, of which the enemy is afraid. The spider gives up prey. Such intelligence in mimicry as the theory of evolution. This defense tactic requires specialization on to distinguish poisonous and non-poisonous spiders. And this period of research that a tiny fly have such an excellent ability besides providing protection from animals, also helps some. The lower resembles a female wasp with open wings in terms of colour and pattern, right down to the thick hairs. In addition, it is created with the wasp. The male wasp of the orchid as soon as it sees the flower. Doing so, the wasp flies off with the dust over its head. Then it repeats the same manner. Doing so, randomly dawn this orchid. This is another plant that reproduces through resemblance. On the petals, similar to those of an veins resembling an animal. But the real trap, it instantly opens its, letting the smell of rotten flesh into the air. As soon as the fly reaches the pollen, the plant tightly clutches onto the fly in order to stick a few pollen. These inseminate the next stop of the fly is that these flowers can reproduce only by in rainforests. Taking advantage of this, some make use of the colour red to protect them. When faced with an enemy, for instance, frogs' abdomens pose in such a way as to display this spot to give an alarm signal to their predator. Bodies of some animals help. An example to this might be some butterfly and moth species. The tail part of this moth, for example, has this shape causes attackers to the head. Aware of the design on its turning its back to it. This animals that can be called false eyes. Just like all other small creatures, butterflies have countless. This reason, this mechanism, butterflies are created with a pair of false eyes that appear when they open their wings. The butterfly takes on a dreadful look and that this animal is. Besides false eyes, some butterfly species face on this facial eyebrows, mouth and nose, overall picture. However, the butterfly is this superior trait God has given to it. This is stated in the creature not hold lock. Marvelous design in all these living things. It is not that the glorious butterfly's wings out as a result. No can produce such a perfect in colour and symmetry. The exact resemblance of an orchid to a female wasp, and moreover it's no male wasp. Eat it. Flawless cannot be attributed to random and unconscious changes. The claim of evolutionists coincidence in the face of these examples. It is out of the question that a creature could play with its own colours and design, even that of an artist. And if there is design, then there surely is a designer. It is obvious that just like all other living beings on earth, these creatures are all created by the author of flawless, the Lord of all the world. What is in the heavens to God? God encompasses all things.